Our next segment is on Libraries Transform with Lisa Grup-Steinacker. Lisa is the director of the Shape International Library located near Mons, Belgium. She has worked in libraries for 12 years and has been at the International Library for 6 years. Before working in libraries, Lisa worked with school-age children, conducting hands-on science experiments. She is passionate about connecting people with resources both inside and out of the library. So let us all welcome Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Do you want to turn on your camera?
Just got it out to work, so.
Okay. All right, great. Happy Earth Day.
Thanks, you too. It's also National Library Week, so I'm very happy to be here and awesome. To talk about libraries and what we can do for community engagement. Let me give you just a second. I had to switch computers for that sound thing, so I'm just pulling up.
Yeah, okay. I love libraries. Go ahead.
Thank you. So if you want to just pull up my slides, I'm just and we can go to the first slide.
Oh, I guess you didn't see my email. All right. I think I have them. Hold on 1 minute.
Well, if not, I can.
Wait.
Lisa, you can also share your screen.
I just had to pull them up. I didn't have them pulled up.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
Angela, do you want to make me host?
Sure. Just give me a
Super.
second. I would love to make you host.
There we go. Okay.
Super.
Can you see my slides?
We can.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So one of the themes for National Library Week is always that libraries transform. And I think that's a really important topic when you're talking about any kind of community engagement or change, no matter what it is, because knowledge is always a key ingredient to change. And a lot of times people don't realize that libraries have evolved quite a bit over the last 20, 30 years. So it's not your grandmother's library, like I like to say. We have lots of different resources. They are more centers for community engagement, for transferring of knowledge, for collaboration, and of course for just the general knowledge that books, can provide as well. But so on the screen, you can see just a couple of different things that libraries are doing all the time behind the scenes in the community, just to strengthen our community. And I think a lot of those is that just to realize that libraries are really a key ingredient into a strong community. Because they can provide access to all sorts of information. But I think that one of the most important things, what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, is children's literature and the importance of, starting early with kids and getting them on board with that literature and books are a part of everyday life. It's not just something you do in school. That reading, whether it's a magazine or newspaper when you get older, is just something that should be kind of a daily activity and should be a normal thing, and it shouldn't be such a special thing that someone does, that it's a daily routine and activity. But libraries were one of the first sharing economy institutions. We were the kind of original, we got lots of paperback books and we were able to share them with the community, so increasing access and reducing waste while we do that. And libraries are continuing to innovate in different ways to show the same impact, just in a modern context. So for example, lots of different libraries are doing library of things. And so instead of just checking out books, you're able to check out tools or museum passes or internet boxes, laptops, all sorts of, you can go into a library now and use a maker space. You have hacker spaces, fab labs, maker spaces, and use 3D printers, have access to all sorts of equipment that you might not necessarily have access to. So it's bringing libraries into a modern context, I think, and redefining what it means to have a library and what access means. And I think that's an important thing, is that libraries used to be just access to books, and now we are access to many more things. And a lot of people don't realize that. So I think it's an important thing that people get engaged with their public libraries and explore what they have to offer. And I know a lot of people are overseas, abroad, and might not necessarily have access to a similar library, but definitely engage with your libraries back home if you still have contact with them, because there's a lot of resources that you can have online to fill in the gaps for what maybe your public library doesn't have, or if it's in a language that you can't communicate in, that you can still get some pretty amazing resources online as well. So as the public concern over climate change grows, libraries across the globe are definitely taking up action to help provide a balanced view of what's going on and provide information for people, for children, for adults, for all ages. And so since there's 2.3 million libraries across the globe, you can find them in the smallest of schools all the way into our national institutions in our capitals. They have global reach. So again, they're a perfect place to start the ideas of change and changing behaviors, which can take some time. So I think that's an important thing, is to get started at a young age and to make sure that you have that open dialogue with your library about the resources that they have and they can provide for you while you're abroad, but also while you're physically in the library. So let's see. Oh, too many computers here. So as libraries have always been about knowledge, that's definitely a key ingredient to change, but it's only one ingredient, and the other part is about problem solving. And I think as libraries are evolving, that's kind of the way I see them moving towards. It's not just that we are about knowledge, which we still are, but that we are about what one does with that knowledge and how that is integrated into the problem solving matrix. And so a lot of libraries are starting to not just have the books, but then have story times, have activities, have crafts, have ideas for you to solidify the educational engagement that you're getting with a book, and not just leaving it at the story, but then engaging with your community and doing some more. And they can be great places for community dialogue. A lot of them have meeting rooms, have places that you can set up movie showings, places to talk about what's going on and how to have change and how to brainstorm those kinds of things. So it's really a great way to give back to the community for the libraries and to see what the community wants. And then at the national level for libraries and the international level as well, we're very lucky to have a lot of support. We have the American Library Association has a lot of influence in getting things changed and having some great legislation for us at the local level to be able to do the things that we need to do. They deal with things like copyright, censorship, equality and equity for resources and services in libraries. And so that really helps us to be able to do our job better and have more resources available to us. And so recently, the American Library Association is starting a new Resilient Community Libraries Respond to Climate Change. And this is a new initiative for them. And it's going to have a lot of resources available for all libraries. And it's going to provide programming opportunities and ideas and just things that will help us to better engage with our community about climate change. And the president, ALA President Wanda K. Brown, stated that libraries are ready to step up their role in combating the misinformation and junk science that clouds public perception and hinders collective action in response to the climate change. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm very excited to see what comes out of that. And it's really great to have, I feel like we're a very professional community, that we share a lot of ideas and resources so that people don't have to reinvent the wheel. So it's really nice. I feel like we're going to get a great package out of the American Library Association. And the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions is also engaged with climate crisis, and they tackle it in a different way. They every year provide the Green Library Award, and this is relating to the actual physical building, and they are promoting sustainability in the construction of new buildings and how, as a facility and an institution, you can yourself have more sustainable practices. And so this is really great to see that they're promoting this throughout the library profession and through construction. And they also provide great resources for smaller libraries that aren't going to construct new buildings with the Green Library Checklist. So there's some really great ideas and some troubleshooting, some ways to get involved. So I think that we have libraries have a lot of room to grow, but I think we're all going in the right direction. And I think this is really a positive move for us. And so I'm excited to see what libraries have going forward with climate change. And so the next thing, let's see, I want to talk about, is it gonna move? Let's see. Whoa, too much. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. Let me get back to it.
No worries.
Sorry.
So while Lisa's working on pulling up her slides, one thing to note for all you Americans abroad is if you have a library card from your US library, you can very often get online and check out books from your US local library. It's a fantastic resource, and it's another great reason for you to make sure that you're supporting your local library. You can literally check out, I've read thousands of books online this way. You can check out books and make and read them and then return them, and you put yourself on hold if there's a really popular book. It's just a really good way of making sure that you are up to date on the books that you're looking for without having to buy everything. And you also support your local library. All right, back to you, Lisa.
Definitely, I agree. Thank you for saying that. A lot of people don't realize how many online resources there are in a library. And I won't go over what I have because that might not be what you have access to, but I definitely encourage you to engage with your public library. And if you are overseas and you don't have an account, contact them and see if you can get one. If you have still a US address, you should be eligible to get an account at your local library. And then they will be able to walk you through all of the online resources that you have available to you. At the end of this, I do have some online resources that are free for everybody. So if you don't have access to a library, there's still some really great resources out there. And I also have my contact information at the end, and I will encourage you, if you have questions, how to access information or some resources that are specific to your needs, you can definitely email me. I know that there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And right now, while libraries are closed, a lot of companies and communities have been really generous with providing free resources. So there's actually a lot more right now than there usually is. And that can be a little bit hard to navigate. So if you need any assistance with that, even if you're not part of my library, I'm happy to help you as a librarian and a navigator of information. So please feel free to contact me. One of the other topics I want to talk about is the importance of digital literacy and fake news. I think these are really important topics to talk about anytime we're talking about some of these big issues, particularly climate change, because it's everywhere. And we really need to engage with our youth and our adults to make sure that people know how to engage with online information and that they know how to dig deeper. And so the American Library Association's Digital Literacy Taskforce offers a definition for digital literacy that it is the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information, requiring both cognitive and technical skills. So this can be a little bit daunting. I think for myself, my generation and anybody that's older than me, my first experience with talking about critiquing sources was really in university when I started doing research. This wasn't a topic that was discussed in school. Just because it wasn't needed. We didn't have as much content readily available, and the ability for people to put fake news out was very limited. So I think it's something that as educators and parents, it's something we have to learn how to educate our youth with, because it just wasn't part of our curriculum. And also that a lot of adults didn't ever receive this kind of information or education if they didn't receive it in an educational environment. A lot of people have gone and educated themselves, which is great, but really there's still a lot of people who don't know that you do need to dig deeper, and then how to do that. So I've posted a couple of different resources here just to help guide people and for you to be able to share with community members to promote the idea that you can't believe everything that you read online. And so the one on the right, How to Spot Fake News, is a really great resource. It's from the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. It's How to Spot Fake News, and I like it because it's very graphic and it's very simple. And it's just got a couple different tips for you to do, like considering the source, checking the author, check the date. You know, you really want to see, are they biased? Is someone trying to sell you something while you're reading the article? Do they have a slant? Are they trying to get you to buy something? Definitely look at the sources. What are their credentials? Who wrote it? And look further. Don't just read one article about something. You need to look at other articles as well and see what else is being said on that topic. And then you really have to use your critical thinking to determine what you believe about it. Just because someone has an opinion doesn't mean you have to believe that. So it's really important that you dig deeper and look a little bit more around. There's a lot of great tips for using things like Google and a lot of other resources. And if anybody does have questions about those, that's a whole class that I teach. So I'm happy to share that information with people. There's a lot of great ways to restrict and to limit what your search results are and kind of get away from the algorithm that Google and other search sites will kind of put it built into it. So the other resource here is from the News Literacy Project, and it's an app that you can download for free. I played with it last night. It's kind of fun and it's informable. And it's a great tool, I think, for maybe older, like middle school to high school. It has you like maybe look at an ad and ask you, is this an ad or is this not an ad? And so there's a lot of different resources and great tips and tricks to kind of get people started on the digital literacy aspect. And then from the BBC, there's a link here to help students spot false news, what they call, so our fake news. So it's really an important aspect to engage with children and get them thinking about what the resources that are out there, and that it's not all, something that you necessarily want to believe. And then there's a lot of these resources too will help you. There's a whole aspect of safety and security that you really want to make sure your children are aware of those risks and hazards, and that you're setting up the appropriate controls for them as well, because you don't want them just running around on the internet. There's a lot of stuff, as you know, that we don't want our kids seeing. So definitely take that time to talk to your children about the internet and make sure that they're safe, secure, and that they are reading and engaging correctly with the internet. So let's see if I can do this correctly this time. There we go. So the books. I have a few books I want to show you. But I think the most important thing is to figure out where you can find books and where you can find titles that are important to things like Earth Day. Because obviously the titles I have with me today aren't necessarily titles that you'll find at your library or that you'll find online. So I wanted to connect you with those resources, and then I'll show you a few of the books. I actually brought way too many because I just can't control myself with books. So it's a problem, it really is. So here we have what I always like to when I'm helping people connect to resources is that you're looking for the award winners because they're award winners for a reason. Someone has gone through usually a committee of some sort that is engaged with the topic at hand and has vetted the author, the book, and has signified it as being a stellar book relating to that topic. So I always encourage people to look at award winners when you're trying to start looking at books in a certain genre or topic type like this. So in the United States, we have the Green Earth Book Award, and you have the link there. And so there's some really great books associated with that. And I think I have one or two of those here. Another award that's very prestigious is in Australia, the Environmental Award for Children's Literature. So those are great titles to look at as well. Just bear in mind that a lot of times if you are in a US library, you might not be able to find too many Australian titles and vice versa. But there are a lot of great titles that are available online that you can still get even no matter what country you're in. And there are a lot of other great awards throughout Europe and the Americas, and I just don't have enough room to put all of them, but you can find them with an easy Google search, or you can contact me and I'd be happy to give you some more lists to go off of. Also, the Yale Climate Connections Children's Books About Climate Change has some great titles on there that I encourage you to look at. I put a link on here to an Earth Day story time, which is really fun. It's a book that I actually has, a lot of my books are checked out because we're closed right now, and people knew Earth Day was coming, so they checked out all our books. So I don't have too many books that I can share with you. So this YouTube clip is a really great video, and it's a fun story. So it's if you have little kids or if you are an educator, definitely you can share that with your class. And the last one is the 2019 and 2020 American Library Association Sustain Roundtable Top 10 Children's Books. And there's some really great books in there. Again, most of mine were checked out because they are great books. I think I have one of them I can show you. But I definitely encourage you to go out there and explore, see what your public library has. And if you find that your public library doesn't have a lot of these titles and that you would like to see more, most libraries have a way for you to engage with them and to recommend the books and say, you know, I really don't see that there's a whole lot in this collection about climate change or environment, ecology, those kinds of things. And a lot of times people don't realize that. You know, everyone's got a finite amount of money, and they librarians really want to purchase what their community wants. So if no one has voiced that that need or that want in their community, you know, they might have overlooked it or gone to a different topic that someone that was vocal wanted in their library. So definitely speak up, tell your libraries and your librarians what you want in your collection. And I think most places are going to be pretty willing and interested to meet that need, because it makes it easier for them, because you give them a topic, you might give them a list, and then they just go bam, 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 and just order the book. So it's a lot easier for people. I'm going to switch off now to stop sharing so you guys can see the books. Let's see. All right. I don't know if you can see me now, though.
I can still see you.
Okay, perfect. So I think there's a couple different topics that I like to address when I'm talking about global climate change with children. And it's very different. There's different levels. And I think, you know, you have to know your audience for sure. You don't want to be reading a book that's, you know, just too advanced for a child, because then you kind of lose them anyway in the facts and figures. So there, you know, there's a lot of books like this one. This is called just Trees. You know, it's a very simple, beautiful book, beautifully illustrated, but it's just simple. It's just about trees and ecology, environments. I'm not going to read it for you because that takes too long. But just the idea that it's something simple. This would be for a younger kid, for maybe a toddler, maybe a kid you're just starting to talk about nature with. But I think engaging kids in nature and environment and getting them interested and compassionate about these things will really help foster their interest in things like climate change when they're a little bit older and start to understand what their role in that can be. This one is one of the awards that was an award winner. So then we have a nonfiction. This is a nonfiction title.
Oh, and Lisa, really quickly, who wrote the Trees book?
Can
you hold that up and we'll pop that into the chat box.
Here we go.
Okay, that's hard to read. Let me see.
It's Lemniskates. They have one name, Lemniskates. There's no first name. They are that cool. But I can type it in here. Let's see. C-A-T-S. There we go. Okay. So this one is by Jess French, and it's What a Waste. And it's a really great, colorful, engaging book. And it's also made with responsibly sourced materials and soy ink. So that's pretty cool too. And it's got it right there. And so that's just, you know, even before you open the book, you can start talking to the kids about how important that is that it's not just the content, but it's also the packaging that's really important, not just in books, but in a lot of different arenas as well. But these are great. They're really great. They've got some great graphics, really easy for kids to look at. A lot of books like this have, they'll have the information, and then they'll have some ways for you to engage with your children, whether it be an activity or a project, a community-based project that they can do. So it really inspires kids to get involved and to see what's out there. There's way too many books here. I have a lot of books. Then there's great ones like just Be Green. It's an activity book, and it has some really great ways, tips and tricks for parents to get their kids. And it's an activity book for young people who want to sustain and protect the world we live in. So there's a lot of great books like this. And this one, let's see who wrote this one. Written by Mandy Archer by Studio Press. And then, so there's a lot of books about things, you know, just basic books like, you know, the environment, environmental protection, living green. There's some really great books out there just about the facts and what's going on. And then I also like to engage with the kids about people and the people that have done some pretty amazing things, and particularly kids. I really like to focus on the fact that little people, young people, can do some pretty amazing things. I think when you talk about climate change, people can get really bogged down in the enormity of it all. And that they think I can't do anything, that if I'm not involved with politics or in government or in, you know, big industry, that I really can't do anything. It's not something I can impact. And so I think it's really important to get down to that smaller level. And I think that's a great place for libraries to engage with their communities, is to show them what they can do on a personal level in their everyday life. And it could be a small thing. It doesn't have to be that you all of a sudden, you know, eschew all of the consumer goods and waste, and that you know, in 2 weeks, you're going to be plastic free. That's not a reasonable thing for most people to do. So I think showing them at the small level how that can build, and that a kid who has an idea and has the passion and the interest to do something can do really big, amazing things with the support of their community. So there's a lot of great books. This one's by Lily Diu, and it's called Earth Heroes. So I like books like this that can inspire people, and they can see real world situations where regular people made big impacts in the world. And then of course we have books, you know, about the amazing people that have done things like Rachel Carson. And there's just a lot of them here. This one I really like is quite beautiful. It's by Jenny Sue Koteski Shaw, and it's called Luna and Me, a true story of a girl who lived in a tree to save a planet. So these are great ways for to start engaging with young children about how they're connected with our environment and how what they do impacts the world that we live in. And then you can do the same thing with young adults. There's a lot of great books out there for young adults, but really with them, you really need to get them interested and inspired and see how it kind of impacts their lives. And then they, you know, they can get really engaged. So there's a lot of great fiction. Of course, a lot of teen fiction is dystopian. So there's some really interesting ones. This one's called Rootless by Chris Howard. And it's about a young man in a dystopian world where there's no trees, and he has to go find the last tree in the world. So I think when you start engaging with teens about, you know, understanding what it could be like if we didn't have all the amazing natural resources that we do now, maybe that can inspire them to get a little bit involved. There's a lot of great books. We've got Bernie Sanders here. This one, She Takes the Stand. You know, I think they're written for teens, so it's at their level. It's not too much, but I think it really can get them engaged and inspired to be active participants in the community, and to to get them involved and to see they have a lot of great ideas and a lot of energy and spunk. So if we can get them involved, I think that can be really amazing. So I'm going to go, I have one more screen, one more slide to share. Let's see, where is it? Maybe not. Oh, I closed it. Just a moment. All right, here we go.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to touch on really quickly is that library resources during our current situation with COVID-19. And I realized that a lot of public libraries or libraries around the world are closed physically. That doesn't mean that there's not resources available. Like we were talking about, there's a lot of great online resources through your library. But here I've listed a couple that are just free resources available all the time, anywhere. The first two are specifically about COVID-19 and ways where you can find valid, vetted information about COVID-19 so that you're make sure that you are getting the correct information and that we're staying away from the possibility of fake news and hearsay. The next one is Comics for Good, and this is a really fun way to engage with children about the topic of COVID-19 and how it's impacting our life. It's got some really great comics in there, so I definitely suggest that. And a great book that just came out recently by Elizabeth Jenner, Kate Wilson, and Nia Robertson, and illustrated by the amazing Axel Schuffler, is available for download. It's just about coronavirus and how it's impacting our lives, what it means, what is it. There's a graphic of it at the bottom there. And then a lot of times, public libraries are the only place where kids are getting access to story times and storytelling. And so online stories is a great resource to find stories being read by celebrities, so they might think that's kind of cool too. So if you're looking for content like that, definitely you can hit that up. And then I've got one more. And so I think, if you didn't think this already, I hope you think this a little bit more, that libraries transforming and Earth Day equals change. So I definitely encourage you to engage with your libraries, utilize their resources for your needs, for getting knowledge, for communicating the impact to your community and getting people involved. Again, if you need any information, you can find my library, the Shape International Library, on Facebook. We have a lot of online resources right now, virtual storytelling, crafts, STEM projects. So if you're looking for some content like that, you can definitely go and you can find that. And if you have any questions about navigating the online resources, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help you. And that's all I have for today.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. That was fantastic. I think during this time where we're all at home, reading is a very important thing that we're all engaging in, and hearing from you about how we can encourage our kids and find more resources online has just been very useful. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so our next speaker is going to be Christina Slosgard. Christina, are you here?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
All right, would you like to turn your video on? And again, I'm Julia Bryan. I'm the Global Chair of Democrats Abroad, and we're so glad that you're here today, everybody. It's wonderful to see so many people in the chat and in the participants list. One thing I would encourage everyone to do is to go to your name, add your full name, and where you're located. So I'm Julia Bryan. I'm located in Prague, the Czech Republic. It's a beautiful day outside. We are watching it out the window and not going out. We're staying at home to stay safe. I hope everyone else is. Christina, our next speaker, is located in Norway. Make sure you let us all know where you're from. And one other thing I'd like you to know is if you've already used Vote From Abroad, if you have put VFA next to your name too. I've used Vote From Abroad this year. I hope everyone has. Christina, have you used Vote From Abroad yet this year?
Yes, I have.
Oh, very good. Angela, have you used Vote From Abroad yet this year? Oops, Angela, you're on mute, but I know the answer.
Yes, I have, of course.
You have, good. All right, so participants, you guys all write in a note to us on your name if you've used Vote From Abroad, because it's really important that you do it. And I hope that by the end of today, anyone who doesn't have VFA by their name has used it, okay? Just go to votefromabroad.org And you will remember, if you haven't already, you need to make sure you've sent in your ballot request or registration this calendar year. The other thing, just before we move on to Christina, I want to note that Democrats Abroad is a 100% volunteer-run organization. I'm a volunteer, Angela is a volunteer, Christina is a volunteer, we're all volunteers. And if you'd like to get involved, please let us know. Just ping us. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of things to do. And the other thing to know is that we're a small donor organization. I think the average size donation is about $10. So if you have a chance and are interested in helping Democrats Abroad get out the vote around the world, donate by just going to democratsabroad.org/donate, and you can donate to us, and we will make sure that your money is magnified, and we reach a lot of Americans abroad who are sending their ballots back to the United States. We are the margin of victory in elections in the United States. We make a difference. We are going to send those Republicans packing this year.